Well, thank you. Now that you've clapped, can I leave? My name is Kevin Farrell. I'm with Lee County Sheriff's Office. I'm the line supervisor for the Crime Prevention Unit. We work with the intelligence, narcotics. We work with all the different units because folks like you guys in neighborhood watches and in civic association meetings, homeowner association meetings, give us information. Tell us. It's not tattling. It's not being a rat fink. It's just letting us know, hey, something's wrong in our neighborhood. It doesn't belong. And if someone's spraying graffiti, whatever, just give us a call. That's all we look for is just a call to get some extra information out there. And we can maybe solve your problem for you. What I'm here today is to talk to you about residential security. In crime prevention, residential security to me is, you know those old castles you see in the King Arthur movies? I got the drawbridge, I got the moat, I got the big gate that falls down and the hero escapes just below the spikes. And then the guys are pouring boiling oil and throwing rocks on you from the top, and the other guys are shooting arrows at you. That's what I wanted my house to look like, but my wife let me paint it gray. That was the only concession she made. But that's crime prevention in residential security is in layers. You start out layers. It's not just one thing. You're protecting everything that you have, starting from the street in this area, your community, when you come into your front gate and you have a security personnel there. That's one layer. The roads that you have for safety purposes, you have a speed limit on those. They wind, and I like those. I'm a SEPTED planner for the county, and when we develop new subdivisions and stuff, I love those roads because it's not a quarter-mile drag strip where the kids are playing or people are walking their dog or riding their bicycle and cars are racing up and down the street. I love the winding roads, so that's a fantastic. I really love this design when I come in here. When I come in, it was well signed, told me where I was going, told me, you know, turn left, turn right. So that's one thing. That's pride of, hey, ownership. I'm telling you that this is where you're going to go here. This is where you can go here. So it's directions. It's giving somebody directions, okay? So that's it. When you get to a place like I came into your country club here and came into the parking lot, everything was nice and neat, okay? There was good signage there. The bushes were trimmed and cut. The trees weren't hanging down. The cars were parked properly. The arrows were pointed on the street. It's called pride of ownership. It's taking a piece of what you have in your whole community and making it yours. Because the minute you drive off of 41 and you turn into this driveway, this is your home. Okay? It's a long driveway for some of you possibly. Mine's only like 60 feet, but yours is a lot longer. But it's still, this is your home. When you come in there, you should feel just as safe as you do when I pull into my driveway with my police car and my gun. And my wife and the dog, okay? So, but you should, and consequently you should also, when someone nefariously wants to come in here, they say, hey, this place is well taken care of, this place, the people care for it, they look out for things, they're looking for me. The last thing a bad guy wants to be done is identified. When we're in a shopping center or a large parking lot and we hear a car alarm goes off maybe out in this parking lot, what's the first thing most of us do? We look, right? We say there's a tall, good-looking guy with gray hair breaking into the car. We don't do anything, but we look. I don't want to be identified if I'm the bad guy. So when you're coming in here, you have a set of eyes in the beginning. You have people that are driving up and down the street. You may have some walkers. You have people in a golf course. You have a lot of different activities that you can see things. So now you're securing this. This is the little village before the castle and the moat and the drawbridge now is coming up when we come in here. When you pull into your driveway, you know, you don't want to look overrun. Do you have newspapers in the front? Do you know, mailbox hanging off by the side? Everything maintained. The streets I've driven down here, very well maintained. The bushes are trimmed, the grass is cut, the houses are in great shape. So that's one of the things. Once again, pride of ownership. These people take care of their things, so they're going to be, you know, I don't want to hide anywhere. We have rules, we call it a 4-7 rule. You want to keep your bushes no higher than 4 foot so people can't hide behind it. You want to keep your trees no lower than 7 foot off the ground, so there's a space there between 4 and 7 feet or more that you can see through as a pedestrian or as an observer. Somebody can't hide behind you. So now you're protecting the residents from the road and from your yards, okay? We have defensive plants. We have a thing called Spanish swords, and they're big plants, and they have really bad points on them. They're really hard to trim. Ask the guy that does it for us, and because you got holes here and stuff. We also have a thing called crown of thorns. It's a bush about this high. It looks like barbed wire with little red flowers on it. And that's exactly how it feels when you step in it putting up the Christmas lights, okay? And you can have different defensive plants such as that. Bougainvillea is another one, although that grows pretty fast. You have to keep it trimmed. Now we're getting actually to your house itself, your residence. What's the first thing? How do people ask me, how do people get into a house? Doors or windows, okay? They're not going to cut a hole in your roof. Doors or windows. So the first thing is, what kind of a door do you have or doors do you have? Most people have pretty decent doors on the front of their house, okay? Usually on the back, if you have sliding glass doors, depending upon when your house was built, because there's new building codes in the past several years because of the hurricane stuff, or if you remodeled or rebuilt. But generally speaking, they're just regular sliding glass doors with plate glass window in it for all intents and purposes. Some of the things that you can do for your front door, if you don't already, is have a peephole in it so that you can see who's coming to your door. Nobody should come to your house that you don't know or haven't invited. It's a real simple thing, you know. If a guy comes there and he's got the pizza and he's got it in hand, you know, I called for a pizza an hour ago and the guy's here. They're going to be there. Lee County has an ordinance against door-to-door solicitation. So really nobody should be soliciting for you door to door. No one should be calling, knocking on your door and saying, hey, I left my car down here because it's stalled and I got the baby in it and it's hot and everything like that. Can I come in and use your telephone? You know, that shouldn't happen here because you can see who it is, number one. Number two, they probably wouldn't get through your security at the gate because unless they lied, say you were coming to see somebody or whatever they did, or piggybacked on another car going through the gate. But generally speaking, they're going to be stopped right there, a large percentage of your people. So now you have residential security. On your doors, you have to have good locks, and they're not that expensive anymore. If you have a deadbolt, we look for a 1-inch throw. That means that the bolt is 1 inch and goes into the door frame 1 inch, so that it's very hard to try and pry that open and to get in there. In your, the weakest part of any house is usually the door from the garage into the home. Ours enters in from the garage to the kitchen. It's really easy for my wife to put the stuff, take the bags out of the car from Publix, open the door, kick it open with her foot, walk in, and put them on the kitchen counter because it opens up into our kitchen. That's great, but now someone has a complete access through the garage door in there. So that is a real easy door to get. It usually just has a lock on the doorknob. One of the things that we suggest is possibly putting a deadbolt on there in regard to it. And when I say a deadbolt, you have to have the twist turn on the inside to get out for the fire. You can't have a key, a double key one, because the fire departments don't like those because you have to look for the key when there's a fire and open the door before you get asphyxiated or burned to death. So they ask for the switch on the door that you can turn it with your thumb switch in regard to it. Your windows, same thing. Several years ago, there was a program called My Safe Florida Home. I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago. And the state of Florida would give you up to $5,000 to help hurricane-proof your home. And that included putting high-impact windows in. High-impact windows, if you have them in your home, are fantastic. Fire department hates them because they can't break through them to get into the house to save you, which is a problem. But there's far less fires than you would think in reality. Consequently, they do a great job. But I've been to houses that have been burglarized, and they say, I've got the hurricane windows, the high-impact windows, but they left them open. Okay? You have to remember that the only thing I'm going to tell you, one thing all afternoon long, is lock your doors and windows, especially when you leave. Lock them, okay? Because that's how access is gained. You can have the strongest door, but if you leave it open, someone can just push it open. We have some gated communities, and the houses are fantastic. They have alarm systems. They got high-impact windows. They got great doors. They left the sliding glass door open for the cat or the little dog because they went down the street to see some neighbors. Let the dog go out on the patio. That defeats the entire cause of it. So that's part of what residential security is making your residence secure. You want to fortify it. You want to make sure that it's not easy to get into. Now, bear in mind that there's probably no one who wants, if they want to get in, they're going to get in, regardless of anything. If you really want to get in there, you can get in there. But the fact is that everything that you do, every layer that we've put on it, has taken time. It's taken someone maybe observing. Consequently, is the reward that great for the bad guy to break in the house to steal $20? Or I used to tell people, don't worry about it if you had a big screen TV. Now they're really light, but the ones I used to have before, if some of you remember, it'd take a troop of Boy Scouts to lift them, you know. So I'd say buy a big screen TV and don't worry about it. But now you can't say that because two people or one person could just have one of these 40-inch screens and just walk out with it. So you have to lock those things up, your valuables, the things that are important to you, the physical things. You want to make sure you keep them. Don't leave them on your dresser. Don't leave them on your nightstand. Put them somewhere safe, okay? And my wife has a jewelry box on the front of the bureau. And I said, well, don't put it there. Put it in your drawer, you know, and cover it up with something, towels or whatever. And, well, that's a pain in the nut. I don't want to do that. Well, sometimes you have to do those things because years ago we had a thing called the dinner set burglars, and they worked primarily in North Naples and in South Fort Myers at the gated communities and the golf courses. The guys would sneak in, hide in the bushes in the golf course in the afternoon, watch through the back windows with binoculars, the sliding glass doors of the windows to the people's homes and their bedrooms as they got dressed, prepared to go out for that evening or go down to the clubhouse for dinner or whatever, go to a neighbor's house. And they saw where they reached in and took the diamond earrings or the watches or the bracelets or the rings or what have you, and they saw where they kept them. When they left, they broke into the back of the house, in and out in less than a minute because they knew exactly where they were going. Everybody puts that stuff usually in the same place. We keep our valuables usually in our master suites or master bedrooms. We don't keep them in the kitchen or the family rooms or the living room because that's where we keep our stuff. Put it somewhere safe. If you have real valuable things, get a safe. Get a safe. Safes aren't that expensive these days, depending upon what you want to put in it. And make sure you get one that can bolt to the floor, where the bolt goes actually through the safe, goes into a sleeve that's drilled into the concrete of your closet or whatever room you want to put it in, and the nut is inside the safe. So you have to have the combination to open the safe to take that nut off, to lift the safe off. That way people can't just pick it up and run out and throw it in their car and run away with it. Okay? That is important things. Or use safe deposit boxes, whatever. There's a lot of things that people can take from you that are physical. There's a lot of things, and Mike talked about it. We're going to do one in March here, a program on ID theft and frauds. And what happens is the things that make you, your Social Security number, your driver's license, your checkbook account, your hospitalization or Medicaid cards, all these things make you who you are. And those are very hard to replace. If someone breaks into your house and steals a couple pieces of jewelry and maybe some silverware or something, the insurance will cover that. It's going to be very difficult to try and replace your identification. Very, very difficult. So lock those things up as well, especially coming up with tax time. You're going to go out there, you're going to have a lot of your own personal information, Social Security, dates of birth, ages, stuff like that. People get that. If you want to shred your taxes from a couple years ago, usually the banks and some people have shredding things. Some Office Depot stores and stuff, they have shredding that you come and it costs you a few bucks to throw it in there. Throw it in there, get rid of it, because if you don't need to keep it for your records, that's there for someone to take, and that information is very, very valuable. I'd rather have that information than a gold watch because I can get more money constantly, and I probably won't be caught, okay? I probably won't be caught for that because that's a white-collar crime, very hard to find a person, very hard to prove it. Or I could sell your information to someone in China, across the world in 30 seconds on the internet, okay?